Hello, hello. Today I'm going to introduce you to the Linnia Decentralized Data Exchange. So here we're going to take a look at selling some data. So you can see that we're logged in with MetaMask here, and we're going to make up a price to sell our data. So let me think of a number here. So 8675309. That sounds like a good number. So let's submit to sell this data. So let's put a little gas price, 120 Gwei. And what this is going to do is this is going to call into the Linnia JavaScript library, which will call into the Linnia smart contracts. And this is going to create our listing for our data. So as you can see here with the metadata, we are logged in with Aaron. And you can see our data hash. And let's pop up in MetaMask here. And let's just take a look. You know, it is a Friday afternoon. The Robson Test Network is very busy with people wrapping up their projects, just like me here. And fortunately, you can see we have a little progress bar, so we can tell the application is still loading. So as this is processing the transaction in the back end on the blockchain, just want to speak a little bit about this decentralized data exchange. This was part of the Linnia team's hackathon, and we were able to put this together in just under 24 hours using the Linnia tools and infrastructure we've put together. And because of that, we were able to build this much more quickly than we would have been traditionally using like MongoDB, S3, all that kind of stuff. So I think the transaction, it's about to wrap up. So now we want to switch users in our MetaMask. So we're going to switch to a user that I've already previously imported, but this user is now going to buy the data. So you can see we've switched to Sharish here, and we can see the data listings for purchase. You can see the price, which we can kind of see as an indicator of the data we just listed. So now I'm going to copy and paste Cerese's public key in here, and we're going to purchase the data. So that went a little slow last time, right? So let's give it like 220 Gwei, and we're just going to turn this up because it's testing, so it's not extremely important. So back to the bottom, we pasted in Cerese's public key, and this will get written out to the blockchain transaction. And this is really important because when the seller approves the purchase of this, the data is going to get re-encrypted. So you can see that went much quicker. And the re-encryption process will happen, and it will be re-encrypted with Cerese's public key. That way, only she can access it. So we switched back. You can see we're in Aaron's wallet, switching through MetaMask. And now we need to approve the sell order. So here we're going to paste in Aaron's private key. So this will go through a couple of operations here. First we're going to need to download the data from IPFS. You can see LastPass is asking to save the private key, which is super helpful if you're not like switching between multiple users here in a developer situation, because it's always helpful to have a password saving utility to manage your private keys. So let's turn the gas price up a little bit more here, just so we can try to accelerate getting these transactions through. So this is going to download the file, decrypt it, re-encrypt it with Cerese's public key, and then we're going to create and provision the new permissions in the Linnia smart contracts for who has access to this data. So it will be Cerese at this point, since she has requested to access the data via the purchasing mechanism. You can see this is going to take a little bit longer than is typically comfortable. So we do have things in our roadmap to mitigate this, most likely using a linear plasma chain, which will also help avoid some of these exorbitant gas prices. And you can see we're needing to now claim the reward for the data. So we've provisioned the record in the smart contract layer, and this user that was selling the data will now be able to claim the reward or the amount of either for the data that was sold. So we'll need to step back through, give a little gas, sit back and relax and breathe while we are claiming the either reward for, selling our data. So, because everyone wants to monetize their data. So now that is approved, let's switch back over to the other account. And we can see there's still a lot of data that we could purchase on the Decentralized Data Exchange. And let's just grab the data hash and let's get this record, right? Let's take a look at the data we just purchased. So let's get that record, and then let's grab Sharice's private key now that we've switched to her account and we want to take a look at this data. So now we can decrypt and we can see we have some HL7 standard medical data. So this is a walkthrough of the Decentralized Data Exchange.